Chapter 13. The Creekbank.
I was careful to venture out to the flat rock by the creek daily so that my mom and dad would see me sunning myself. I would call to them as though I was as chipper as ever, and they'd never seem to realize that anything was different. Then, after they were gone, I'd groan and pull myself slowly back to my log so that the guys could wait on me again. I was feeling better now, and just laying there trying to think of things that they could do for me or bring me was getting rather boring. And then, much to my relief, the boys returned to the swimming hole again. I heard them coming when they were way down the path. They were shrieking and yelling and calling to one another.
"They're back, Pogo. The boys are back at the swimming hole."
I nodded slowly, not wanting to seem too energetic.
It's a shame you gotta miss them, knowing how much you like watching them.
I nodded again, wondering just how I was going to handle this.
"We could help you move to the flat rock, just like we do, so you can say hi to your folks."
That would be good of you, Wood. I am commencing to feel a bit better. You fellas have sure taken good care of me. I'm hoping that in a day or so I'll be able to get along on my own. That was good news to all of them. They cheered for good old Po. We moved to the flat rock, the fellas helping me some, and Flip hurrying on ahead to brush aside any rough stones or pieces of stick that might be in my path. I forced myself to move slowly, when I really wanted to go my fastest. It was hard to do. I was afraid that I might miss some new trick of the boys. By the time I was eased up onto the flat rock, all of the boys were in the water. There was much splashing and frenzied activity. Still, I was a bit disappointed at first. It seemed that they were just doing all of the same old tricks. They had their flat things and their pails again, and after they had played for a while in the cool creek water, they began to carry their pails of water up the steep slope and splash it carelessly over the ground. It took them quite a while before they were satisfied with the slope. Then they dragged the flat thing up the hill, and one sat on it while the other one gave him a shove. Down he came, swishing right down the slope, and splash into the water. Up and down they went, one after another, and then they started all over again, and each had another turn, and another, and another. It seemed that they never got tired of the game. I didn't get tired of watching them either. It looked like so much fun. I longed to be able to try it myself, and then I got a great idea. As soon as the boys left, the hill would be ours. It wouldn't be too rainy or too dry, because the boys had made it just right. I could hardly wait now for the boys to go home. At last, the boys scrambled out of the water to sort out their clothes. We watched them go, still yelling and pushing, and then I turned to the fellas, excitement in my voice. "Are you fellas ready for some fun?"
Sure.
"See that hill? The boys left it just right for sliding." We started up. In my excitement to reach the top and that slide, I sort of forgot myself and climbed faster than any of the rest of them. When we finally all got to the top, we were breathless and should have taken some time for a rest, but we were all too excited about the ride down. Seeing I'm already sort of banged up, maybe I should try it, just in case anything goes wrong. I wouldn't want one of you other fellas hurt, too. I took my place on the brow of the hill and tucked myself carefully in. You have to give a push. I watched the boys. They always give a push.
Say when you're ready.
I rearranged my legs a bit, opened my eyes just a fraction so I could see. Ready! As one, they all gave a shove. I humped forward and then settled right back where I had been before. Snapper bumped his nose on the back of my shell and it started to bleed. It wasn't a bad nosebleed, but Tubbsy had always been squeamish about blood. He squealed like Snapper was bleeding to death, and I had an awful time getting him to settle down. When the commotion subsided, I tucked in, and the three remaining fellas, Woody, Tubbsy, and Flip, got ready to push. They gave another big heave. I still didn't move, but Woody slipped in the mud and skinned his knee on a sharp stone. I was afraid that I was going to lose all of my pushers. "You're doing it all wrong. The boys don't do it that way."
"The boys don't have to push with their noses. We need something flat. The boys don't just sit down and slide. They have something flat that slides easy."
"Oh, that's just what I was about to say. Let's find something flat." We all started looking. The first thing that we found was a piece of flat rock. It took a good deal of effort to get it pushed into place, and then I crawled aboard and settled myself, ready for a great ride. Ready! The boys gave a big shove. I was moving. I opened my eyes to catch the beauty of the ride, and then, plop! I stopped short. I had only slid across the flat rock and dropped into the mud again. We next tried a large flat leaf. That didn't work either. It just buried itself in the mud and sat there. The wetness was quickly drying in the afternoon sun, and we still hadn't been able to get down the hill. I've got it! My shell!
What?
My shell! I think that it would slide.
Your shell? You'd have to be upside down to do
That's
that.
what I mean. Flip me over.
Oh, come on, Po. You know you hate being on your back.
This'll be different. I'll just be on my back while I slide down the hill, and as soon as I hit the water, I'll be right side up again. Turn me over. It'll work. I'm sure it'll work. I tucked all in, and they nudged me over. Woody was right. I did hate being on my back, but I sure wasn't going to say so. Now push! They pushed. It worked. I started to slide down the hill. I felt like I was whirling along. I didn't even dare to open my eyes to see just how fast I was going. I heard cheers behind me on the hillside. There was one thing that I hadn't thought about. I could not see where I was going. Not that it would have done me any good, for I realized too late that I had no way to steer myself. I kept going faster and faster, and then the cheers at the top of the slope turned to frantic yells, and the next thing I knew, I was flying through the air like a bird. Now, I had always wanted to be able to fly, but deep within me, something told me that there was something all wrong with this. I remember thinking that I sure hoped I'd hit water when I came down, but I didn't. I'm not sure what it was that I did hit. Whatever it was, it knocked the breath right out of me and left me groaning again, this time for real.
Po! Pogo, are you okay? Say something, Po.
Are you okay, Pogo?
I tried to move my head. My neck still was attached to my body, and my head to my neck. I was glad of that. One by one I tried my legs, and they all still worked. Yeah, I'm all right.
Boy, were we scared. We thought you'd get smashed to bits.
I was rather proud of myself in spite of it all. I had slid down the bank. Oh, maybe not the way that the boys did, but I had sure slid. I grinned and tried to move a stiff leg. I did it! I told you I could, didn't I? Boy, did I fly or what? I grinned, a crooked grin, my head still spinning. Then I started for the creek. I wasn't saying so, but there was nobody, I mean nobody, who could have talked me into trying that again.